Could you?
Hitting record, and we're going.
Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us today for our 30th episode of Business Unusual, Prospecting Through Uncertainty. I know, 30 weeks we've been at it. We kicked this off kind of at the first week of the pandemic, I think it was, or right around the first week. So we've all certainly been down a lot of roads together, and a few of them, we may have bumped into a pothole here or there. And anyway, so I am also learning how to navigate through the whole getting back into school right now and homeschooling. And normally my mom handles that, and she's been gone for 3 weeks. So I'm right there with the rest of 40% of Americans who are trying to figure out how to homeschool. And by the way, I have no idea where my children have gone. It's like as soon as I sat down for this call, they scattered. And anyway, so that's who I am. I'm homeschooler of the day. Maybe not. All right, Chris.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Motley, the owner of Motley Creations, where we make you look good. And what we do is managed marketing services. So what that means is we help small and medium-sized businesses with big goals. And what I do is I help find right-sized solutions to execute on their marketing strategy and develop their brand and image that they need to have. But it's kind of like everybody else, there's a pivot, right? And so this year we've kind of moved to a strategy and things like that, more than fulfillment, more than finding contractors and things like that for people. So it's some people hate change. I have to say this, it's been interesting.
We like calling it interesting and trying to figure other positive words beyond a goat rodeo, because I think that I don't know if you've ever seen a goat rodeo or not, but it's trying to get those little suckers wrangled and hogtied. And
is it kind of like putting a sweater on a cat?
Yeah. Have you ever tried putting a sock on a cat? We had to do that with kittens one time, and it was that resembled a lot of what's going on with the pandemic. So anyway, all right, well, we're going to dive in today, just a little bit of housekeeping. Now, Chris is going to be multitasking just a little bit. So what I need you to do is just chat me any questions that you have as we're going through the presentation today. I've designed today as kind of a mini training class on what are some of the key things that you can be doing right now to really make your fourth quarter sales go faster and better. And with that, there's going to be several places that I may actually ask a few of you to chime in and just let me know what's going on with you. And you can do that through typing in the questions pane also. And as I ask the question, if you can type the answer so that I can gather all the responses, and then we're actually going to do some workshop stuff during our session today. So with that, I'm going to kill webcams, and then we will dive in and get started. Okay, hopefully everybody can still see the screen and can see what we're focusing on today, which is, of course, making fourth quarter really rock. Now, I don't know about you, there are so many people that I'm talking with right now that are just basically approaching the last 25% of this year as we're almost through, it's almost done, we're almost to 2021. And I hate to be the voice of reason here, but I think I kind of have to be the voice of reason to remind you, we have no guarantees of what 2021 will actually look like, and whether or not it's going to be a continuation of 2020, or if things are going to get even crazier. But so what we have to do is we have to make each day count. And we do have 25% of the year. So what I'd love to do real quick is just get an idea of where my audience is right now. And would you do me a favor and chat in and let me know whether or not you are on target with your revenue goals and your sales goals for 2020, whether you are behind or whether you are ahead of your goal. So take just a second, type into the questions, let me know where you're at. That way I know whether or not where I'm coming from with the presentation that I'm doing. Because I want to make sure it's most relevant for you. And the question is normally, are we trying to make up ground or are we trying to organize chaos? Because I have a whole lot of folks that I'm working with right now that they're having an amazing year. In some cases, they're having their best year ever. Okay. So we've got some behind. All right. Okay. So it looks like we're down. And then we've got some service offerings are doing really well. Okay. All right. So with that, I think everybody's seeing an impact of some shape within what we're doing right now. So what I want you to think about as we're talking through our topic today is we really have to be at a point where we can take stock of what's working, what's not working, who is still buying, who is still a viable business for us to even be selling to, or who is our target audience, and are they still a good target audience for us to be pursuing? Because in some cases, I'll tell you, just about everybody's having to navigate a pivot of some kind. And in some areas, it's a pivot of your services, and in some, it's a pivot to a new market that would engage for perhaps different reasons than the other market did. And each of those you've got to incorporate into your sales strategy and make sure that as we move forward, we really have that clarity and understanding of exactly what we want to be doing, who we want to be serving, and most importantly, why would they do business with us today? So I'm going to share with you, first of all, as we start talking about gaining this clarity, what's really important is that we understand who are the key relationships that we need to be focusing on right now. And if you've sat in any of my sessions before, and poor George has sat in on so many of them right now, and I appreciate you spending time with me again today, George. I'm honored that you continue to hopefully find value in what we're talking about. And maybe even it's just a reminder of what we know we should be doing, because that's what I often find is that I don't care how many years or how many decades you've been in sales or business development, we have a hard time just having that discipline to the right activities and the right amount of those activities to be incorporating. And we can get distracted and get drawn over into things that are non-productive. And I know that social media is a prime example of one of those giant black holes of your time that can just absorb everything. And then you start thinking about, well, is what I'm doing right now getting me closer to or further away from my goals? And right now, I have to say, especially after what's going on with conversations around politics and the world in general and how divided we are, I don't care what you put out there. In some places, you're going to be dividing. And we just have to be so careful with what we do to make sure that we're remaining true to the mission of who we serve and what our impact is with everything. And we don't ever act in a way that is counterproductive. And with that, I do want to spend a few minutes here talking about the most critical relationships for us to be focusing on in our business right now. And I'm actually going to talk through this with you. And what I want you to think about right now is, are you all approaching your client management any differently now since the pandemic has started than you were prior to March? Let's say March 1st. So do me a favor and chat in and let me know if you are making changes to how you are serving your clients. The clients are the people that are writing you checks, continuing to do business with you, those key relationships. How have you changed your approach? to serving those key relationships. So we're going to take just a second and get a sense of who we've got and what you're doing. And I know it's probably a little bit of a lengthy answer, so it'll take just a minute. So what I'm specifically asking about, and I'll add to this while you're probably chatting in, are you talking to them more frequently? Have you expanded the topic of conversation? Or are you having a hard time even connecting with them? Are you finding it more difficult or challenging to get them on the phone or to schedule time with them? So that may even be a part 2. Because I want to make sure that I give you information that's going to help you wherever you are at right now. Okay. So, you know, does it feel like you're perhaps in some cases serving as more of a therapist to some of your clients than you were before, counseling them? It's funny. I find myself doing a lot more counseling on homeschooling than I do and dealing with children at home, which I certainly am not the master of that, as I can tell from the fact that my children are gone when they're supposed to be sitting here working on their stuff. So, all right. And then we've got, all right, so we've got folks who are in a lot of different places on our call. And it's everything from spending more time with them as a coach and supporter, working to add even more value through unsolicited but relevant information for them. And then, okay, and some clients are pretty much radio silent. They don't have time to work on strategy. They're probably too busy managing crisis. All right, so we're coming at this from a lot of different directions. What is important right now is that we are looking at where our clients are and where they need us to be for them right now. And I remember when the pandemic first hit, I sent out an email to my list, and my list only has, I don't know, 800 people or something like that on it. But I normally average about a 25% open rate. And that email was over 40% on my open rate. And all I sent out was a list of website and resources that had everything to do with, there was the PPP program, there was information directing them to which state resources they needed to be paying attention to for grants or local assistance. There was information on the EIDL, and there was just a bunch of stuff that I sent out. There was information that there was a link to a group, because my list is made up of equal parts individuals and business owners. So there was one there on applying for unemployment. There was a link on there that gave you advice on negotiating payments with your mortgage company if you needed a deferral, but it also gave information that said that, you know, these aren't going to be put back to the end of your loan. You're going to pay everything at the end of it. And I mean, there was just all kinds of stuff like that that I just found that I knew was of interest to them. So I sent that out. And what was really interesting is I told you that my open rates were around 25% prior to that email. After that email went out, I had open rates of over 40% from that one email. But then after that, I captured my audience's attention again. So my open rates have been consistently in the 30% range. So I kept some of that audience. And as I'm keeping them, what I'm discovering is that they tell me very clearly through what they click on and what they open and what they pay attention to, what is of interest to them right now. And if I wasn't sending out a weekly email, then I wouldn't know any of that. So I think that's one of my first lessons that I'm going to share with you today, is that you better be showing up regularly for your clients, and they're going to give you insight over what you need to be doing in your sales effort so that you are positioned to be able to keep that business as well as expand and grow. Now, let's talk about specifically what these conversations need to look like and what we're going to accomplish through these client conversations. And if you ever want to have a big boost to your business, I'll tell you, in most cases, it's sitting right there in your client base, just waiting for you to reach out and either engage with them to get more business from them, where you can bring them more solutions, where you can get referrals from them and reach others that look just like them, or whether or not you are going to be in a position to offer them new products or new services. And I think everybody on our call today is kind of in that marketing arena, that you may have seen a significant shift based on the fact that businesses are too busy in crisis management mode, and they're too busy playing whack-a-mole with whatever is their most compelling problem to date that is mission critical in their business, and getting them to stop thinking about that and start thinking about what they should be doing, which is looking at where their business needs to be next month and next year. And I totally get the fact that if they don't deal with the mission critical things, they may not have a business next month or next year, but we still have to help them find that balance and temper that. So to get there, it's so important that we actually do dig in and spend time with them, focusing on what are their key challenges. So I'm recommending that with all of your top clients, that you focus on at least quarterly reviews with your top relationships, where you're having conversations with them about their challenges and where they need help the most. And I get a lot of good information from what people are clicking on my regular emails that are going out, but I get even more insight when I have conversations with them directly. And that's also where I'm able to open the door and introduce them to my referral partners or to other areas that I can serve them as well. So if you want to kick your fourth quarter sales into high gear, very first thing that I'm going to recommend that you dive into this month is that you really focus on those key client relationships and cultivating referrals. The other thing that I want you focusing on is I want you to really understand what value you are delivering for them now and be able to articulate it. So this is the best time for you to be developing brand new case studies, because we're all in the midst of a pivot right now. And as we're pivoting, we have a tendency to be almost doing more of a cha-cha than a pivot, because it's not like we can turn and go another direction and get traction. It's like we're turning another direction and we're continuing to run. And you know, Chris is normally he's my person chiming in here saying, feeling like a dog on linoleum that you can't catch a toenail. And that's kind of where we may be right now. So let's go back to the basics. And I'll tell you that this worked in 2001, right after 9/11. This worked in 2007 and 2008 with the real estate crash. It worked in 2012, where we had all the upheaval in banking. These key strategies of diving in and focusing on clients first and cultivating referrals to others that look just like your clients. And when you do that, and you capture that information and insight, and you incorporate that language and those case studies into what you're doing, and you ask for direct introductions to people who are dealing with the same challenges they are that you're able to help with, that is going to get you your highest opportunities for conversion. And it's funny because I work with so many people. Like, I've got a financial advisor that I work with that's actually a common friend of both George and mine. And he's going to know exactly who I'm talking about. But he runs a very successful wealth management practice. And as he is serving his clients, it's funny because he started doing this process early in 2005 when he and I first started engaging. And he ended up getting so much business just from getting referred to others that looked like that perfect client that he didn't have time in order to keep doing it. And that, I think, is a big challenge of what we do. We dig into something and we have some success with it, and then we get busy and then we abandon the effort. And I want to encourage you to just have as one of the core rocks or strategies in your business development effort be around generating client referrals, capturing the case studies and that testimonial information, and then generating client introductions from that to others who are in their exact scenario. And I don't think I have anybody on the call this morning. I may have some listening to the recording later, though, that have issues because of compliance, not letting you promote specific examples of what you've done. And in that case, what I'm going to recommend that you do is you pay super close attention to the exact language that they're sharing about what their challenges are that they're facing. Because I promise you right now, the key reasons why people are doing business with you, you've probably seen just enough of a shift that your language and your marketing materials may no longer be relevant. And for those of you in marketing right now, your biggest call to action with your prospects and clients is irrelevance. Because if they do want to be sustainable next month, next year, then they're going to have to be positioning to take advantage of whatever is remaining. We know that there's tremendous shakeup that's taken place in the market because of what's happening. There's a lot of companies that just aren't even going to be around. And if you're dealing with someone, particularly in the restaurant or the retail sector, or one of these other avenues that's just been decimated by the pandemic, it's really important that you be positioned for them to help them navigate and capture whatever opportunity is remaining. And now, as we talk about how you're going to do that, this is where you can bring in your key referral relationships. Now, what I want you to do right now is I want you to chat in to me on the questions pane. How many key referral partners do you have that are consistently referring you business? Let's take just a minute. So, top of mind. So there should be a number, whether it's 0 through 25 or 200, whatever that number may happen to be. It's probably somewhere in the neighborhood. Most of the folks that I work with have anywhere from 3 to 5 referral partners that are consistently opening the door for them. Okay. Okay. So I've got one chiming in with 6. I know George has a host of them. What about you, Angela? How many referral partners do you have? Okay, we got a few. All right. Okay, so what I would like for you to think about with your referral partners is I'd like for you to focus on these relationships as what will be a key element in your strategy as you move into fourth quarter. So we've talked about clients. We talked about understanding. So the first step of what our fourth quarter strategies are, or how we're going to boost business in fourth quarter, is I want you to pick a number of clients that you are going to interview on a weekly basis. And that will become one of your regular activities, is reaching out to your clients. And I promise you, I'm going to give you information later on in the session that talks to you about how do you get to the clients who have gone radio silent and are not responsive to you right now. So we are going to talk about that. But I want you to pick a number of folks that you will connect with on a weekly basis. So here's your first exercise. So hopefully you've got a notebook that's handy that you can jot down that you're going to commit to. And what I would recommend that you do is that you segment your top clients and you look at that list of those top relationships and you arrive at a number. Maybe that number is 10, maybe that number is 200. But then I want you to be able to connect with each one of those key relationships before the end of the year. And ideally, if we want to have a boost in fourth quarter, it's better if we have those conversations over the next 60 days. So then you're going to divide the number of relationships that you have to contact by the number of weeks that there are remaining that you're going to focus on. And I'm going to say that we really need to be diving into this and have a lot of it wrapping up towards the end of November, because that's when we're going to be positioning for what we need to be doing in 2021 and how we're going to make the most of Q1, because we're going to have holidays in there. So I want to make sure that I just get you thinking about what's out the windshield instead of in the rear view mirror. And when you're thinking about this, you're going to focus on having those conversations, setting those key conversation, whether it's a Zoom call or it's a phone call, or whether you meet them live for a cup of coffee or take them lunch at their office. Whatever that looks like, I want you to get that number and get them scheduled. So that's the first thing you're going to focus on for the remainder of 2020. Then the next thing that you're going to do is I want you to make that list of those top referral relationships. And by top referral relationships, I'm talking about those people that you can count on, that are consistently referring you opportunities. And you know you are top of mind with them, and you are in a position to also serve them and introduce them to your clients. So identify out of those key partners who is the most relevant right now, and who are the referral partners that you really need to be focusing on in order to bring them into your clients to add even more value. So for example, I'm recognizing with a lot of my clients right now that they have a huge need to automate their sales process. And, you know, one of the first places to start with that is through identifying a CRM. So, and then figuring out once they have that CRM, what is going to be their right strategy. So one of the referral partners right now that's super relevant for me right now is my technology partners, because people are trying to learn how to navigate in a new world that is requiring a lot of remote workforce, and it's a different way of engaging. And they don't have the systems, they don't have the technology, they don't have the processes. So all of those people are the ones that are the most relevant to my clients right now. And those are the partners that I'm seeking out. And I'm identifying out of those key partners then, what can we do together that would be a joint marketing effort? So what can I offer to their clients and what can they bring to mine that will allow us to have basically, that 1 + 1 = 3. So this is where you end up with this combined total that's so much greater than an individual effort. So think about out of those key partners. And again, what's really important that you recognize is that with a lot of this, you may have to do the heavy lifting to make it easy for others to help you right now. So what may be important is for you to go, and this is where it starts, have those client conversations, identify what the most pressing issues are that you can help them serve right now. Pick a referral partner that can offer just tremendous value to your clients, and you can serve their clients. And this is where that first question that we talked about, those key relationships of those clients, you've got to be able to position how you're relevant now and what's different today. So for example, if I teach people how to prospect, but what I understand right now, based on the success that my clients are experiencing, is I understand what strategies are helping business development professionals get traction. And again, I have clients that are attaining their best year ever based on, and I would love to say that these are my ideas, but I just pay attention to what's working. And then I figure out, how do you make it better? And that's my gift, is how do you get better at one little thing that gets you just a little bit of a slight edge? And then how do you have the discipline to that one thing to do more and more of it to get a better outcome? And then I pay attention and share that same information with others, because we're all kind of in the same boat and we're all rowing together. And when you pay attention to what everybody's dealing with, it lets you make sure that you remain relevant and you are following where your customers need you to go. And so that all that information, so you can't just skip the step of having the client conversations. And I know that a lot of my clients like to do that. They want to just get to the sexy stuff, which is the coming up with a creative new offer and figuring out how to market that and going after a cold audience to figure out whether or not that resonates, because they happen to have this lead list that they just haven't ever sent anything to, and it's been calling their name and saying, take me, spend time on me. And we then fall into that Midwest work ethic of, well, I'm a hard worker and there's nobody that I won't call. So we pick up the phone and we go spend our time where we've got a 1% chance of getting business, rather than focusing on where we've got a 25 to 50% chance of getting business. So what I'm telling you is not only going to create leads, it's going to create high quality leads that will convert. And that's what you really need to be focusing on right now, is where do you get the conversion? Not just where are you getting an audience. Okay, so thanks, George. He's saying, preach it. All right, he works with a lot of entrepreneurs as well. So I understand we all have these challenges of how do you stay disciplined? All right, and how do you keep that focus where it needs to be? Now, campaigns are your friend, and I'm not talking about the campaign like we're all getting to experience through what's going on in our political elections and everything else. I'm talking about the campaigns that are going to get the attention of your perfect prospect. And then once you've got that attention, it creates that path to where you're going to serve one another's relationships and ideally attract people into your funnel so that they become clients. Okay, and then of course the clients, we want them to buy even more and more and more stuff. So what I want you to first of all recognize is that right now, even people that adore you, they love you, they buy all of your stuff, it's taking 3 to 5 attempts to even get them on the phone. And that is just the way it's going right now. I would love to say that we're also important to our clients, that they return our calls within hours of us calling. That's not the case. And we have to continue to be persistent. And I have so many people who say, thank you for being persistent. I do want to talk with you. I've just had so many things going on and I've completely forgotten about following up at the end of the day when I know I needed to call you. So recognize that it's 3 to 5 touches to connect with those clients that you need to talk to, and that those 3 to 5 touches need to be highly relevant, and you need to bring them good stuff. So for example, I gave you that prime example of sending out a resource list based on the PPP and EIDL and everything else that's going on. Well, now people are trying to figure out how to navigate in a new normal. So I would reach out with very specific requests that are talking more about, I want to connect with you to talk about XYZ compelling topic, and give them a reason to want to talk with you. And these are, again, your key clients. And then same thing with prospects. I'll tell you that to connect with new prospects. So let's say George introduces me to a fantastic new prospect. And it may be someone that indicates they're very interested in meeting me. And George makes that introduction. Well, it used to be all George had to do was send an email and that person would respond immediately. And that's not how it's working now. So now what happens is George sends an email and I send another email back. And then there's a really good chance that that email is going to get lost in their inbox, because I don't know about you, but it's like the emails coming to me have doubled or even tripled since all of this chaos started. So that first email that I send out, I pretty much anticipate it's going to get lost. So I'm going to follow up with a reach out to connect with them via social media. And on social media, I'm going to reference that George suggested that we connect. And I check with them in a couple of different places. So I connect with them on LinkedIn. I also connect with them on Facebook, because I actually happen to work with an audience that is often hanging out on Facebook. So I connect with them over there. I may not always follow everything that they do on Facebook. I have certainly figured out how to hide or unfollow different people. And I'm also very careful about what I post, because I recognize that I have different views than others do that I'm connected to. So I just do my best in order to not dive into whatever fray or argument is going on, because as much as I love to argue, social media is not a conducive place to be arguing a point right now. So I do connect. I do look to build relationships. I am always posting pictures of really pretty horses. And George has got it figured out. I bet his social media interaction has just gone through the roof with posting all the videos of his puppy right now, because he's got a beautiful little golden retriever puppy named Frankie. But it's things like that that people love connecting with on Facebook. They like to get to know you personally, and they want to get to know whether or not there's a likability factor. And that actually is one of the mental triggers. So I certainly recommend that as that second or third connection. And then if I've got a client that I'm trying to get to and they're not responding to me via email, in a lot of cases, I'll send them a private message via Facebook, and they respond more, I think, even there than they do via email. So it's a case of recognize that you're going to have to go a lot of different places. And if it's that new prospect that George has sent me an email to, I'm going to be pretty persistent. I'm going to send them probably, a first email, and then I'm going to connect with them on social media platforms, and then I'm going to follow up with them again with a second email. Hopefully I did a little bit of asking George about why he thought the two of us should connect. And then that information that he shares with me, that next email that I send out may be along the lines of, I understand that you may be new to this whole prospecting thing. and you're trying to figure out how you're going to go find your next gig, I thought I might share this article with you that I put together that kind of tells you the 4 things that you need to incorporate to get started with hustling whatever that next gig is going to look like for you. And then I'll attach a link to a post that I've done on LinkedIn. Again, I'm driving them back to a social media platform so that I can track their engagement. And then as we start to have conversations, I'm going to invite them to receive my weekly email that I send out that's a prospecting tip. And I really want to get them into my normal communications, because then when I do that, I can monitor and fit them into the analytics and see what they engage with. But then what's super important is that I pay attention to everything. This is why it's so important that marketing and sales collaborate, because you need to be paying attention to when somebody is resonating. And this, I want you to really, if you're multitasking, come back to me, because what's really important for you to know right now is that it used to be if someone opened an email or clicked on a link, if you contacted them within 24 hours of them clicking on that link, you had a good shot at getting business from them. Right now, they're finding that if you don't contact them within 5 hours or so of them initially clicking through or jumping into whatever your offer is, you lose them. Your numbers go down significantly for you actually capturing that business. So what's always interesting to me, and people have behaved differently during the different recessions, but in 2001, it's like sales cycles got longer. And then I think it was 2007, I actually saw them getting shorter. And this one, it's getting shorter as well. So people are actually buying in minutes if there is a compelling offer and a call to action, because there's just so much fear and uncertainty around what they're doing. They're looking for solutions and they're being proactive about seeking them out. So what's super important is that you be hyper responsive to every message that comes out. Everything that you, if you post something, you need to immediately be engaging and be responsive with the prospects that are engaging with your content. It's no longer okay to just leave them in your marketing funnel and wait until they percolated to the top. You've got to take action. So those people that are engaging with your content, you need to reach out. You need to invite them to events that you're doing. If it's a like we do the weekly webinar series, and I'll make sure that I send to my top prospects an invitation to at least one event per month that we're doing that I think would be of interest to them. So all of these things that I'm talking to you about are what's working right now in order to convert opportunities into customers. And also, they're getting traction. So some of the things that you may have tried last year that didn't work are probably going to work this year, or they may work. But you have to do a lot of experimentation to figure out what resonates. And then once you identify those topics, that's when you expand on those topics and build from there. Okay, I've given you so much. Oh my goodness. And I bet your head's exploding with okay, where am I going to start now? Well, what I want you to think about as far as what you're going to start with right now is key client relationships that you're going to focus on. Put together what those initial 3 to 5 touches are that you are going to reach out to engage with those key clients. From there, you're going to cultivate referrals as well as capture new information from the case studies that you're able to develop. I want you to actively engage with those key clients on social media, understand what their topics are, post content that's relevant to them, pay attention to where people are engaging. So like, comment, share on other people's content, and then pay attention to who is interacting with your profiles. And also who is liking, commenting, and sharing on what your referral partners are also sharing. And then reach out to connect with those folks also via social media. Work on expanding your audience that way. And then once you start to expand that audience, make sure that you create that campaign that you are going to develop with those new relationships to build a relationship, convert them. Identify one key referral partner that you can do a joint marketing effort with, where you can market to their clients, they can market to your clients. And that's where I really want you focusing to have an immediate boost to your revenue in fourth quarter, is focus on referrals so that you're going to convert a high portion of them. But you also need to make sure that every single contact that you make, you nurture and you cultivate and you capture. So it used to be enough that you could just bring them in and then reach out and manage that funnel with a whole lot of dropping an individual email here or there, or calling and catching up with people. And that's not cutting it. I mean, the problem we've got right now is that with 8 to 22 touches before a buyer really engages, you've got to push a lot of really relevant, amazing content out there that your buyers are going to engage with. And then as they engage with the content, you have to pay attention. So it used to be you could have a really good salesperson that could do an amazing job just by being smart and keeping up with stuff and maybe using their CRM. And those days it's getting harder and harder. So now we really have to have that coordinated effort between marketing and sales, where we're each collaborating and serving one another's relationships through what we do best. And if you don't have relationships there that can help you with this, reach out. I'm happy to connect you to amazing people that can help you with what that strategy is behind what you do with your content. We can help you identify relationships that can actually do the writing for you. They can interview you and then put together a series of emails or a series of blogs or help you craft those campaigns. But it's so important that you incorporate all of these elements so that every single opportunity that you bring in, you are nurturing and cultivating it, because the opportunities are going to get harder and harder to come by as we move forward throughout the year. And it's so important that we focus on where we're going to end up getting the most traction. So it's not, don't be a shotgun with this. I really, really, really need you to focus in on the key messaging that most resonates, identify that core audience, and then just really double down on what's working. So as we're moving forward, I want to just take a minute here and see, are there any questions with how you're going to put any of this together in your own prospecting effort? And I'm going to take just a minute and unmute, because it makes it a lot easier if I do unmute. Okay, does anybody have any questions about how this is going to work in their own prospecting effort? Are we all good? Are you excited? Are you a little bit apprehensive about it? I'm not quite sure where to start. You're giving me a lot here.
Well, it's always like drinking from a fire hose.
Oh, yeah. We should probably put together a roadmap based on this. That may be a really good additional exercise to put together.
It would be a good, yeah, it would be a good takeaway.
Anything? Oh my goodness. Well, hopefully everybody's gotten some good ideas that they can incorporate into their own strategy as they're wrapping up. Uh-oh, can't unmute. Okay, so you've added daily prospecting to your calendar. Okay, so Angela, how much time are you going to allocate every day to prospecting? And George, I know you're pounding the phones. You're on the phone hours and hours and hours and hours every day. So I
Yes,
don't ever
Brenda,
need,
I am. It's all about making the right connections, correct?
yes, yes.
And helping people. One of the things that I've learned through all of this is when you reach out to somebody, try to help them with the pivot and give them something, not sell them something, but find out what they need. And if you can't help them, connect them with somebody who can.
So I'm unmuted now. It's Angela.
Yay.
Yay. Yay. Hey, George, to that, and it's good to hear you again. I'm finding that even though Sandler says not to give everyone your candy, drop it in the lobby, I am doing more of that. I'm doing strategy sessions and just helping with what others are doing more so than before, because I do think that helps thought leadership.
Well, and I will actually piggyback on that because well, you may not know this. I was a Sandler sales coach from 2000 until 2005.
Okay.
So where I will tell you things have shifted just a bit from when I delivered Sandler. And I haven't engaged as much with them recently. I've got referral partners that are Sandler trainers, and I absolutely adore Sandler as a solution for some key things, primarily helping you get out of your own way so that you can implement on whatever sales strategy needs to be done. They're the absolute best in the world at that. What I'm finding though about how people are buying now, they want that confidence that you have the solution for them beyond a shadow of a doubt. They don't want there to be any, well, I'm going to give it a try, and you've done such a good job of finding pain and bonding and developing a rapport with me that I want to engage with you and I'm willing to give it a go. That's not the case now. People want to know that what you're giving to them will work, which requires that you demonstrate what that solution is going to look like for them. And in some cases, it may mean laying out the roadmap, just like what I'm sharing with you all right now is what I have people paying me for. But what the difference is between what you get in the free webinar versus what you pay for is my help with implementing on the strategies that we've outlined today. And for about 30% of the audience that I work with, that's plenty. And they're going to dive in and they're going to get a lot of great value even beyond what the free stuff is. But the thing is even if you don't ever buy anything from me, the way that I look at it, to George's point, is if I serve others and I continue to leave a good footprint with every relationship, and I deliver amazing value for the investment of time that you're making with me, you're going to tell others. And as you tell others, I recognize that about 30% of the audience that I engage with will eventually become a client. So, but that reciprocity mental trigger, I don't know if, Angela, if you sat in on that webinar that I did, and it's on the YouTube channel, and it's called Creating Content That Converts. It talks about the 7 mental triggers that your content or your sales approach has to address in order for somebody to be confident buying from you today. And one of the big ones is reciprocity. And that's where I solve a problem for you and you want to reciprocate. And sometimes that reciprocation is hiring me. In other cases, it's referring me. So that's just a little bit on that difference between, but you're not going to give away all your candy in the lobby. You are going to solve 1 to 2 problems though. I'll tell you that is pretty much required in the buyer journey right now. So, but that's really good insight. Thank you for jumping in with that, Angela. Any other questions? Okay. Hopefully everybody's gotten some good ideas that they're going to take out of today and run with. I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor for today, the Women's Business Center. You should go check out the events that they've got going on with there's an Eventbrite calendar here at the bottom. And it's basically Kansas City, WBC.eventbrite.com. And you can go find all kinds of different events on just about everything under the sun. I will also tell you that they've got really good content if you want to share it with your clients that are trying to figure out, like before it was the PPP and the EIDL, now it's how do you apply for that, and the loan forgiveness, and so that that can be considered as a grant instead of a loan. So that's a topic that's of interest to a lot of business leaders right now. There are so many other things, particularly around HR and finance and accounting, as far as topics that they've put together. You should definitely go check it out, because if you don't participate in it, maybe you've got clients that would also benefit. And we would love to see you again. Next week, Chris and I are going to be talking about building out that email campaign. We're going to do two sides of it. I'm going to walk you through the strategy behind an email campaign and make sure that you engage on that sales side. And then he's going to walk through the creating the content and all the automation behind it in order to get your campaigns underway. Now, I understand that for a lot of you folks that are on here, this may be old hat to you. I would ask, if you find value in these sessions, to please share them with others and invite people that maybe you're trying to get into the whole content marketing funnel, and let us help you get that conversion made to where they're all on board with that strategy. And then, oh, I don't know why that just popped up. All of a sudden, everything is just decided it's not going to cooperate with me. Chris, can you advance the screen? Is it for you?
No.
It's not working for you either?
No, you have to give me control. So.
Uh-oh, and I didn't do that. Oh, wait, did my mouse just scroll up? Okay, well, at least, hey, we were on next to the last slide. So I'll tell you what's on the last slide is we are looking, here's where I would ask for your help. So if there is someone that you know that is in transition and trying to figure out what role they're going to engage in next, maybe they've had jobs that the jobs aren't there anymore, and you want to, you want to just help them and give them insight on how they either network to secure their next gig, or they create maybe a independent contractor service and they secure contracts or freelance engagements. Chris and I are putting together a program that is specifically designed to help people create that brand you. So I would ask that if you've got anybody there he goes, he's got it figured out. Okay, so there is a link here on the very bottom of the program. Wait a minute, go back to.
Oh,
no, there it went. I'm so sorry. Technology is my friend until it's not. All right, well, anyway, message me, because hey, we'd love to talk to anybody that's trying to figure out how they're going to navigate and do what's next. Here it is. So we've got a link at the bottom of the slide, or you can just drop me an email or Chris an email, and we're happy to share with them the information about BrandU. Okay, thanks for navigating through our technical difficulties that I get to go now figure out what on earth is Microsoft Office trying to scare me about now. And thank you very much for your time and for your attention. Chris, anything you want to add?
Just what is it that people have to do to get what they want?
Let's see. I think it's you can get anything you want in the world if you help enough other people get what they want.
Fantastic. It's good. Thank you all for showing up today. And remember, subscribe to the SalesWorks YouTube channel, and you can get a bunch of other important information.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for your participation today. Have a great day, and I wish you good selling.
Bye-bye now.
I'm going to let you